Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Wednesday evening to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there and certainly had yourselves a fantastic day. And I really appreciate you folks tuning in this evening as we continue to talk about the tropics. And obviously, the number one topic in the tropics and in the weather world right now is Lee. And Lee is now a hurricane. It was dubbed a hurricane at the 5 p.m. update about an hour and a half ago. So we can now officially call it a hurricane, and it is a Category 1 hurricane at 75 miles per hour. So we're going to continue to pump out updates on this. I'm going to tell you guys, we're going to be talking about Lee for a while. Lee's going to be with us for, I would say, clear on through mid-September. I mean, there's a chance that we'll, steadily stop talking about him as much if the confidence increases at some point that this is definitely not going to be a threat. But I'm telling you guys, all eyes are on this thing, and I think the big reason is just because we just dealt with Idalia. But another reason is because there's a lot of misinformation all over TikTok, social media, and I think people realize that they can make money any way possible, even if that's just spreading false information. People are money hungry, and we all know that money is the root of all evil, and people will pretty much do anything. Not everybody, but some people will do pretty much anything, even if it's spreading false information to cause fear. So we're going to give you the facts here. We're going to give you all the model information. We're going to talk about what Lee looks like right now. We're going to talk about the latest and greatest information from the National Hurricane Center. And more importantly, we're going to try to geek out on you guys like we've been doing if you've been tuning in, and really discuss what could drive this in the future. Okay, the steering currents, troughing. I know you're thinking, what does that mean? We'll discuss that. A ridge of high pressure. All these help to create steering currents for these tropical systems. So we're going to talk about that. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below so I can pray over it. And I promise you, others will do so too. Really appreciate the growth on the channel lately, guys. It means the world. If you're not familiar with the channel, it's really a family type atmosphere. We look out for one another. We kind of know one another at this channel. I try to acknowledge all the comments, even the negative ones, but welcome to any new viewers. So let's talk about this. Lee is now a hurricane. Like I mentioned, a 991 millibar hurricane. And I know you're thinking millibars don't mean much to me. Well, it does mean a lot because it indicates the strength, and obviously the lower that number drops, the stronger of system that you have. But it also means a lot when you're trying to figure out which model is initializing the best. We'll talk about that here in a second. 75 mile per hour Category 1 hurricane moving west-northwest at 14 miles per hour. Look at the actual cone. All right. Confidence is pretty high between now through the weekend on where this is going to go. Of course, the cone broadens out a little bit once you get into the western Atlantic and north of the Leeward Islands and Puerto Rico. And there is a chance that this could take more of this southerly route and could maybe bring, with this being such a powerful hurricane, tropical storm force conditions to maybe the northern Leeward Islands or Puerto Rico. So that's something we have to watch. But confidence is pretty high between now and then that this is not going to affect really any landmass. Could get some outer bands and like I said, into maybe Puerto Rico, the northern Leeward Islands. But forecast to become a major hurricane as early as Friday afternoon. If you don't know what a major hurricane is, that is what's considered a Category 3 or higher hurricane. It goes all the way up to Category 5, not Category 6, okay? Category 5. All right, we got Bermuda here, the United States right here, lower 48, the Southeast, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica. Confidence is pretty high. This is not going to affect Cuba or the Dominican Republic. Confidence is not quite as high, but it is pretty high that this is not going to affect Florida or even Georgia or the Carolinas. But once you get a little bit further up the coastline of the eastern seaboard, confidence drops, okay? And we'll talk about why in this video on everything. Another great site to use, and this is available to you folks, to the public, and pretty much almost all this stuff is, that I'm about to show you, okay, is Zoom Earth, okay? It's basically almost combines the tropics with Google Maps. It's really cool to use. All right, so it actually breaks it down in kind of time zones as far as the strength. So tonight at 2 a.m., this is expected to be an 85 mile per hour Category 1 hurricane. By the time we're getting into tomorrow afternoon, expected to be a 100 mile per hour Category 2 hurricane. All right, by the time we're getting into 2 p.m. Friday, okay, under 48 hours from now, this is a major hurricane, Category 3, 125 mile per hour hurricane. At this point, it's starting to strengthen, and it's strengthening at a pretty good clip right now. It didn't strengthen much today, but I think between now and basically the short-term future into this weekend, this is going to strengthen substantially. So by the time we get into 2 a.m. Saturday morning, this is a 140 mile per hour Category 4 major hurricane. By the time we're getting into Sunday afternoon, guys, this is a 150 mile per hour Category 4 hurricane. Confidence is pretty high. If there's any hype that you should believe out there, it's that this is going to be a powerful hurricane. The hype that you shouldn't believe and shouldn't get so caught up in is it affecting a landmass, because we have no clue if it is. Confidence is higher and lower for certain areas, but we still have no clue. Okay, we start to move forward here. It might weaken a little bit, but we'll see. I really think this is going to slow down right in this area. Okay, but we got to see what's going to happen with this. But this is going to become a powerful hurricane. If you don't know what bumps it to a Category 5 status, it's when you go over 157 miles per hour. But what we do know is this only jumps up in 5 mile per hour increments or higher. So once it goes from 155 mile per hour storm to 160 mile per hour storm, that is the jump from Category 4 to Category 5 status. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at this thing. All right, the sun has pretty much set out here on Lee, or is setting right now. But this is the water vapor loop. The area in black means it's dry in all levels of the atmosphere. Okay, let's go on and scoop this up a little bit. Okay, the areas in green, that's moist in the upper levels. The blue, that's moist in the low and mid levels. And then, like I said, the black is dry all levels. And then this red indicates high and deep clouds. You can read it up here. What we do know is it's a strengthening hurricane. It has an excellent moisture field, and it's basically fully protected by a massive moisture bubble because it's a strengthening hurricane. And the big reason is, what I'm trying to say is, it's not being affected by dry air really at all. It had a little bit of some northeast shear, maybe a little earlier, maybe dealing with it still. And I think this is why it didn't really explode today. But it's fighting that off pretty well. But one thing that you notice here is you see these high cirrus clouds fanning out like this. We're going to continue to talk about this because I think it's very important. That is this storm basically ventilating. There's something called an anticyclonic flow over the system. We know that tropical systems spin in this direction, okay, in the northern hemisphere. Okay, but you got winds above this storm, on top of this storm, 30, 40,000 feet up in the air. You got winds going in the opposite direction. This is actually pushing these clouds in the opposite direction of what the actual flow is in the low to mid-level circulation down here. Okay, there's what we call an anticyclonic flow right over this system, or a ULAC. This is kind of geeking out on you with the weather. ULAC is weather terminology, and it's an acronym, and stands for upper level anticyclone. So basically, like I mentioned, it's winds moving in the opposite direction in the upper levels above this tropical system, this hurricane. So what happens is air rises kind of right in the middle of this storm, right? Okay, and then on top of the storm, winds are going in the other direction, so it's fanning out air away from the middle of the storm. And this allows more air to rise. It's a continuous cycle. Then it gets fanned out again, allows for more air to rise, gets fanned out. So what does that mean? Well, you think that would disrupt the flow, wouldn't it? Well, it doesn't. It helps actually push air away from the center of the system, and that allows more air to rise. So we know that rising air, and if you don't Google it, a really good, I'm sure it's a better explanation than what I'm saying, but we know that rising air is a symbol of convection and shower and storm development. So if you got continuous ventilation and rising air of this system, that means you're getting consistent storm development. And we know if we're getting consistent storm development, we know that we're getting taller updrafts, and we know that we have a strengthening storm system that is absolutely having no problems of firing off convection. If you don't know what convection is, that's storms, showers, and storms. Okay, so this thing is a living and breathing, strengthening monster in the making. This is the beginning stages of a monster hurricane. Okay, it really is. So let's get this off your screen. And you see how this is ventilating, right? Okay, like I said, there's a lot of convection being able to really explode from the storm. And you can see it here. It's another great way to look at it. This indicates the temperatures of these cloud tops. And you see right here just continuous explosions of convection right here in the middle of the storm. You see these whites and these purples. Those are higher cloud tops right in the middle, right over the center of this circulation. And this is because you got the fanning out of air away from the center of this circulation. So this thing is breathing well, it's ventilating well, quite literally, and it is just doing its thing out here in the central tropical Atlantic. Okay, so this is in the beginning stages of turning into a very potent hurricane. So let's go over some model guidance. What we'll do is we'll go over the European, the GFS, and then the HFA model, which is a hurricane model, which I think is really symbolizing the high-end scenario of this. We'll start off right now. I can tell you the Euro is initializing weak already. This is a 991 millibar low pressure hurricane, and the Euro is saying it's a 1,000 millibar low pressure system. Okay, that's wrong. European has a very, doesn't have substantial strengthening over the next 24 hours. It strengthens this into a 987 millibar system. And I can tell you this is going to be wrong. But really the one reason why we're looking at the European is the track. Okay, because European does pretty well when it comes to the track of these tropical systems. But it has a weak bias with low pressure normally. Okay, and it's really showing up here. But it does begin to strengthen this into a 981 millibar hurricane Friday morning. Okay, and then we get into Saturday morning, and this is getting pretty much due northeast of the Leeward Islands. And at this point, it's a Category 2 970 millibar hurricane. Okay, most model guidance agree that this is exactly where this is going to be. We'll switch it, move it a little bit further west, southeast right here, Cuba, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, the Caribbean islands, Bahamas right there. So we continue to move this forward. We get into this coming Sunday morning, September the 10th. This is a 952 millibar hurricane, a major hurricane, definitely at this point. Okay, the European buffers this with strength a little bit, but we get it into the morning of September 11th. It's a 952 millibar hurricane. Okay, this is when it starts to bog down. We're pretty confident this is around the location this tropical system will be early next week. After we get past this, confidence steadily decreases. Okay, we get into Tuesday morning, and the Euro takes this to a Category 5 927 millibar hurricane north of Puerto Rico. But it's kind of close to Puerto Rico. When such a powerful hurricane, all right, the effects is going to expand out further than a weaker hurricane. So we got to watch out Puerto Rico, even the northern Leeward Islands, heck, maybe even, the Dominican Republic, maybe even the southwest areas of the Bahamas. We got to watch how far this drifts west. But this is going to, early next week, this is going to be a monster hurricane. Okay, this is when I really think this will hit its peak intensity. Okay, and then it makes that turn north. We're getting into next Thursday. I mean, we're next Thursday, guys. We're like just under a week out. September 14th, this begins to make that turn north, but it's not making the turn northeast like we want to see. Okay, Bermuda right here definitely needs to keep their eyes on this. All right, and then we're getting into Friday morning, September the 15th, guys. We're literally like 8 days out and we're still talking about this. Okay, this is moving almost due north, but look at the little tick northwest it does. It has that little subtle tick west. We're going to show you why it does that here in a second. But this is the last frame of the 10-day Euro, which only goes out 10 days. And it shows still a Category 2, low-end Category 3 hurricane between Bermuda and around the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So, man, we got a lot to figure out about this, okay? And there's been even a slowing trend with this, which means we'll talk about it even longer. The GFS initializing much better, only 1 millibar off. Same deal, we'll kind of fly through this pretty quickly. We take it to Friday morning, it's a 968 millibar hurricane. Saturday morning, 952 major hurricane just northeast of the Leeward Islands, but far enough away where it's not really impacting them really at all. Maybe some outer bands. We'll have to see how close it gets. And we go on and switch it to the Southwest Atlantic right here, and we'll take it to Sunday morning. This really starts to bomb out here. It's a 943, probably a Category 4 hurricane the morning of September 10th, this coming Sunday morning. And then we take it to Monday morning, the morning of September 11th. It's going to be a very powerful hurricane, maybe Category 4, based off this run of the GFS. And then it kind of slows down in this area. What is it going to do? When is it going to turn north? And then Wednesday morning, it really begins to sniff out that weakness. in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And then it doesn't abruptly turn north as quick on the GFS. It kind of turns northwest and then tries to eventually turn due north, and this takes us out to the afternoon of the 14th. And this is getting a little bit too close for comfort to the U.S. Now, guys, when I say that, that's not Mitch saying this is going to slam North Carolina. I think people just be careful. Don't take my words as conclusions, and I don't think I ever speak in grand conclusions. I don't feel like I do. Just take this as model guidance. We go over this every day, and we see how much it changes to keep people aware. I think people wonder, well, Mitch, why talk on this when it's so far out? Well, if you wait till 2 to 3 days out and you say, hey guys, this hurricane is most likely going to hit your neck of the woods, it doesn't give people a lot of time to prepare. Okay, it's the same thing with severe weather. If you wait to prepare for severe weather in a day, and you got a tornado warning and you can visibly see the tornado, and you wait till then to prepare, it might be too late. So that's why, if you're interested in the weather, you continue to tune in from updates, because things can change. Yes, things can change, but it's important to see why it changes, and it's important to see where the confidence increases and decreases for certain areas. Okay, because sometimes people view information one day and then they won't view information for another 2 to 3 days, and then things have totally changed. So we'll continue to tune in with this here, and we look at the latest GFS and we move this forward here, and this finally begins to move north and then northeast, and then thankfully it moves on out. But for Nova Scotia, it gets very close, but this is over 10 days out, so that's something to keep in mind here. Now we look at the HHAF model, and I'm going to show you the upper wind pattern on top of the HHAF model. 994 millibar tropical system is initializing as for Thursday morning, September the 7th. So it's already initializing a weaker, like 12 hours from now. So you can already tell it's already off. But what I want you to notice is, you see this area in blue? Okay, this is that outflow. These are the streamlines fanning out, moving in the opposite direction of this low to mid-level circulation. So this ventilating anticyclonic flow that you see going around the system like this, that we keep talking about over and over again, this will stay on top of the system for the foreseeable future, allowing for constant ventilation. And that's why you see this number that's dropping. It's dropping. It's dropping. It's dropping. We get all the way to Sunday morning. This is a 926, probably borderline Category 5 hurricane north of the Leeward Islands and northeast of Puerto Rico, and it dips it all the way down to a 909 Category 5 hurricane. This would not only be a Category 5 hurricane, it would be a strong Category 5 hurricane. Okay, I don't think it's going to get this strong. Sometimes these models well overdo the strength, but you could tell that this is just going to be in a prime environment almost for the entire lifetime of this storm until it begins to turn north and get into cooler waters. Okay, but the same thing with the HHAF model. It has it right here in the Western Atlantic. Okay, and yeah, it's going to be a powerful hurricane, guys, no doubt. The ensemble guidance from the European model, the EPS, it shows that stall out kind of right here. It's not going to stall out, but it will slow down and then an abrupt turn north. But if you notice, these L's, which if you don't know what the European ensemble is, it makes up 51 members. Doesn't mean you're going to have 51 hurricanes. It's 51 members that are kind of put together and kind of jumbled up into a model, if you will. It's used as guidance. It's one of the best things to look at. But it does show where many of these members take an abrupt turn north, but hardly any of them take an abrupt turn northeast to get this out to sea. Okay, this is still kind of chugging along. A lot of this guidance is still chugging along just north, due north, instead of abruptly turning northeast. So that's something to keep in mind. I think this is going to have a hard time abruptly turning northeast, and I'll talk to you why now. So this is the European high pressure and low pressure. So in the areas in blue, that is low pressure. The area in orange, that's high pressure. The high pressure in the orange, just think of that as a ridge of high pressure. Low pressure in the blue, that is low pressure, like a storm system, or it could be an upper trough or trough of low pressure or a cutoff low, whatever it may be. Okay, both of these have different steering currents around them. So we'll move this in time. This little kind of blue-black blob down here, that is Lee. Lee is getting forced to go more so kind of east to west in the short to medium term of Lee's life. Okay, you see this area of orange, this is kind of bogging down Lee. Now, what we do know about stronger storm systems, okay, they want to gain latitude more. So a stronger hurricane is going to fight for latitude more, meaning it's going to want to turn north as quick as possible. It's going to fight a ridge really hard. So you see this orange right here that's kind of keeping this down. This just basically goes away. It gets weakened by this trough, and it kind of just buckles up further to the north. So you see this white area opening up right here. That is a weakness in the steering current. So therefore, as soon as Hurricane Lee, which will be a powerful Category 4 or 5 hurricane at this point, early to midway next week, kind of feels that weakness, it's going to make that turn north right here. You see how it begins to turn north almost immediately. Okay, but the thing that we got to watch is this area right here. You see this ridging building almost right on top of the storm and almost building it onto the northeast side of Lee. Okay, you got to watch this because we'll go on and continue to kind of move this forward here. This ridging is right on top of this. So one, this is going to prevent this from just an easy like Sunday morning turn northeast. At the same time, guys, you got this kind of this cutoff low sitting right here. That's a little concerning too. Okay, this isn't a full-fledged trough anymore. It's almost like a cutoff low. So we'll stop it here. All right. And when I say concerning, I'm not saying, guys, y'all need to freak out and head to the grocery store if you're in New England. That's not what I'm saying. But the current around a ridge of high pressure goes like this in this example. So it's flowing around this area right into here for the most part, kind of going like that, and then going like this, and then going like this. The flow around this cutoff low, for example, would be more so like this. Okay, so you would immediately think, oh no, this is going to get, because it's going to head into these steering currents, this is going to get pushed into like New York City. That's not the case. Okay, because what you don't really see here, and if we were to keep this going past 240 hours out, is, let's do this again, as that this ridge of high pressure is constantly moving. It's not just staying in one spot. It's not very strong either. So this could continue, this area of this ridge of high pressure can continue to sort of, it could move back west. It could move back on top of the storm. It could move and get on out the way and move out to the east. And if this area right here was to kind of scoot on out of here really quick or kind of bog this way, this would allow for this to follow that weakness and head out to sea. But if this ridge like strengthens over this area, okay, and almost like builds on top of it, right, okay, or either actually extends kind of on the northeast side of Lee, then Lee is still going to try to fight against that ridge, but you still got steering currents that are trying to still push it a little bit further back to the west. So that is ultimately, this ridge right here, okay, is ultimately why model guidance has this, if we were to back it up, has this just moving north and not making that abrupt just turn out to sea like a lot of systems do, and especially in El Nino years. Okay, and I hope that makes sense. Another way to look at this is the latest GFS. Same kind of deal, right? Okay, you got these steering currents that are moving like this on the base of this subtropical ridge right here. Okay, that is why this is moving like this. And I know you don't see orange right here, so you're thinking it's going like that and then like this. But just because you don't see orange here, that don't mean there's not ridging being pushed down here too. So this is getting steered into this region right into here, right? Okay, you get this off the screen and you keep this moving. All right, you see the weakness that opens up right there? Wide open weakness. So this is immediately going to make that turn north. But at the same time, you got this ridge right here, this high, somewhere into here. On the GFS, you have a full-fledged upper trough digging down here with steering currents going like this, okay? And then you got this competing steering current right here. So you got these two on the GFS kind of fighting against each other. Is this ridge of high pressure going to continue to scoot out here, allowing for this trough to kind of move in, allowing for Lee to basically head on out to sea? It's a big question. And that's so many things that we don't know. There's so much more that goes into this than just showing flashy model guidance. But in this case, you know, this ridge up here in Canada is pretty stout. But if you notice on the GFS, this trough is much more stout than it is on the Euro. So you got a pretty stout upper trough showing up here. And sometimes when this can get detached, this can actually pull this in. But you gotta think too. Lee is still strong and trying to turn north. And at the same time, you see as I move this kind of like this, watch how this ridge begins to kind of retract northeastward. So it's going to continue to fight against that because this upper trough is almost weakening this ridge somewhat. But this is also going to try to tug on Lee. So at this point, you stop it right here, and this is pretty far out. This is next Saturday evening. Okay, you still got these currents kind of moving like this, and you got some currents moving like this. But at the same time, you gotta remember, this steering current that's trying to push Lee this way is continuously moving on out. This is allowing for this to just kind of continue to bulldoze into it, okay? Because this leading steering current from this ridge of high pressure is moving on out the way, okay? See how it's moving on out the way? So it's able to take an escape route and eventually merge into this huge upper trough way up here in the northern Atlantic, okay? So you kind of see the motion of it. Ridge builds on top of it. You're thinking, oh no, this is about to get steered right into the U.S., but remember, you got this competing. But if you were to keep this moving, right, this ridge on the GFS is moving out, okay? Trying to explain this the best way I can. You see how the ridge, the area in orange begins to move away. This is allowing for it to push against it. So, hope that makes sense, guys. I hope that it clicks, because I really, that's a huge goal of me in this channel, is helping you guys understand and learn what's driving all this. So you can help me and help others correct all these folks here on TikTok and stuff like that are just creating unnecessary fear for self-gain. So, you know, that's all I got, guys. We'll do it again in the morning. Thank y'all for the support. Y'all have a great evening, and I'll talk to you soon.